Why not? Back again. Today, I want to talk about who the best sixth man in NBA history is. So, who is the best, most valuable player that has come off the bench in their career? And frankly, most of the people that I will talk about, or the players that I'll talk about, are guys who have won the Sixth Man of the Year award. But there are plenty of bench players in the NBA that make an impact, not just currently, but over the course of the NBA's history. But there's a select few who I deem as contenders to be the best sixth man of all time. So let's start with the two obvious choices that people probably will gravitate to the most. The first being Jamal Crawford, J Crossover, known for having the best ball handle skill of all time, maybe besides Kyrie Irving. But if you look at this guy's highlights, like, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, he's dribbling people into oblivion, and not in a bad way where you would be like, oh, this dude just dribbles too much. Like, nah, like all that. Like, he sees the game so much differently, and you can just tell by watching him. Like, he breaks down his defenders so easily with his dribble moves, and his reaction time is so quick that he is just like this unstoppable scoring talent that, we really haven't seen a lot, of players that have a similar talent. Like I said, Kyrie is probably the most similar in terms of the ball handle ability, but Jamal Crawford was also a little bit bigger than Kyrie Irving. He was like 6'5", 6'6". So, like, you got this 6'5", 6'6" dude who's pretty lanky, has the ball on a string basically, just dribbling at you like you're not going to be able to react in time. Like, he's just that good. So Jamal Crawford won the award, the Sixth Man of the Year award, 3 times in his career. Once with the Hawks, and twice with the Clippers. And, in all of those seasons, he was putting up, pretty good numbers. The last time he won the award, he was only averaging 14.2 points per game. That was in 2016. But when he won the award in 2014 and in 2010, he was averaging over 18 points per game off the bench, which is, that's a real number. Like, that's tough to do, to average. It's tough to average over 15 points a game if you're starting, but let alone coming off the bench, that's pretty crazy. And it's also like, you have that unique dynamic to your team where, you are almost more important because you're setting the tone for the second unit, and you're showing the other team that regardless of our starters coming out, like, we still are going to cook you. And Jamal Crawford did just that. Was breaking guys down like crazy. So the other obvious one that we should probably talk about is Lou Williams. Lou Williams also won the award 3 times. So him and Jamal Crawford are tied for the most wins of the Sixth Man of the Year award. Lou Williams won for the first time with the Raptors in 2015, putting up 15.5 points per game. And then he won it back-to-back years with the Clippers, where he was averaging 22.6 points per game and then 20 points per game in the season after that. That was in the 2018 and 2019 seasons. So Lou Williams is legit. Lou Williams is like, it's like that badge in 2K, like microwave. Like, that's legit what Lou Williams is he's just, like Drake said, he's getting paid millions to work the night shift. So that's just what he's doing. And he's holding it down, And Lou Williams is smaller, he's like a 6'1", 6'2" shooting guard. But he was a bucket. And he was really perfect for that, 6-man role. He definitely could have started, but like I said, same thing with Jamal Crawford. Is it's like that 6-man brings such a crazy dynamic to your team, and it really helps. He's honestly could be more effective coming off the bench than starting because it might just fit the game plan better. So Lou Williams is definitely up there as well. I think realistically, if you want to look at the numbers, it's between him and Jamal Crawford. But I think, the 6-Man of the Year award is an interesting award because it's very subjective, obviously. I mean, with most NBA awards, but there's different types of bench players. And bench players shouldn't be a negative connotation either. I'm just saying that because you're a player that comes off the bench. But Lou Williams and Jamal Crawford are scorers, right? And kind of ball dominant players. But then you have, other 6 Men of the Year award winners that, offer different things, like Clifford Robinson, RIP. He played for the Portland Trail Blazers, which is where he won the award. And he was probably the best defensive player to win the award. He came away averaging 1.2 steals per game and 2 blocks per game that season when he won the award. So there's different things that you can offer off the bench. And it just depends on, the voters, if they're looking at the stats or they're looking at, what are you really doing to help the team. And a lot of times people will value scoring off the bench as opposed to defense off the bench. But, Clifford Robinson was doing both. He was also averaging a decent amount of points, playing a decent amount of minutes, just coming off the bench. But that's probably one of the better defensive 6 men. You got Detlef Schrempf, who won the award 2 times with the Pacers. Kind of a more all-around big. It was like 6'10", 230, 240. I wouldn't say that he's the greatest 6-man of all time, but he's definitely, he's won the award 2 times, so that's worth considering him as well. Ricky Pierce, played in like the 80s and 90s. He might have been in the early 2000s too, I'm not sure, but he won the award twice as well with the Milwaukee Bucks. He actually is the highest points per game for a winner, where he averaged 23 points per game in only 29 minutes per game, which is pretty impressive, without starting a single game in the 1989-1990 season. So that's worth noting. And he won the award twice. I think I might have said that already. But and then you have a player like James Harden, who is obviously not a 6-man anymore, but when he was very good at it. And the Thunder got pretty far in the playoffs with him as their 6-man. It was a team with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, Nick Collison. I think Kendrick Perkins was on that team for a while as well. But James Harden was a really good 6-man, and he offered a decent amount of different things off the bench, obviously scoring, hitting open shots, but he was also a very good passer, which obviously he's developed that skill even more. He's had multiple seasons now where he's averaged over 10 assists a game. But it's hard to say that he's the best 6th man of all time. I mean, I guess you could consider it he's the best player to win the 6-Man of the Year award, because he's obviously developed into the most successful player, at least statistically, out of this group. He hasn't won a championship, obviously, so that's a big kind of, blemish, I guess, if you will, on his resume. But I wouldn't say he's the best 6-man of all time, because I think you have to value more what he did as a bench player than what he did after that. Obviously, him winning 6-Man of the Year, propelled him into, be the player that he is today, but I wouldn't say he's the best 6-man of all time. You also got Lamar Odom, that won with the Lakers. And I think Lamar Odom is an interesting, 6-Man of the Year as well, because he kind of offered a range of different things. He was like a 6'10" point forward. You could put him at the 5 sometimes if you wanted. He was just very good at a lot of things. I wouldn't say he was necessarily great at any one thing, but he was very good at a multitude of things, which made him such a good bench player because you could really insert him into so many different schemes and plays, and he could be the ball handler, he could play off the ball, he could do a lot of things. So Lamar Odom's also someone that I would value a lot just because of all the versatility that he brings. So that's another thing that as a bench player you can bring, right? You can bring energy, scoring, defense, a little bit of everything. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on how much you're, using your strengths to help your team win. And accepting that role. Accepting the role of coming off the bench is also a hard thing for a lot of guys to do. But I think the guys that embrace it do really well in that role. You also got Manu Ginobili, who was obviously a great six-man. He won the award once. But he kind of flipped back and forth. He played his whole career for the Spurs, ranging from the very early 2000s all the way into, the late 2010s. And obviously won a lot of championships with the Spurs. And he was a key piece to their team for a long time. But he kind of bounced back and forth from being a starter to being a six-man. I would just classify him as a guy who was always willing to do whatever it took to help the team win, whether it was locking in on defense, taking a bigger offensive role, being the facilitator, whatever it was, he was willing to do it. And I think he just had that mentality and that style his whole career that, when they told him, you're going to come off the bench for a little while, he embraced it and he won the award, right? So I think he's also another case of he's a really good player that just so happened to be put in a bench role for at least a season, and he excelled in it because he, excelled in pretty much any role that you put him in. So, I don't know. I mean, tell me what you guys think, right? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is the best six-man of all time? Is it someone that's won the award before? Is it someone, that hasn't won the award? Maybe they're the seventh or eighth guy off the bench, but they have, a bigger impact with something else they do? I don't know. I would like to say I think Lou Williams is probably the best six-man of all time because as great as Jamal Crawford is, Lou Williams just did it at a higher clip and really got put in that box for his whole career, and he embraced it, right? He really did embrace it, and I think Jamal Crawford embraced it too, but just based on the numbers, I mean, it's very close between the two of them. I would give the the edge to Lou Williams, and he's got that Drake song named after him. Six Man is about Lou Williams. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's on, if you're reading this, it's too late. Go check it out. Come back and let me know why you love the song. And if you don't like the song, don't tell me about it because I don't want to hear that. You guys know about me now. I'm a huge, huge Wizards fan. Also a huge, huge Drake fan. Huge Party Next Door fan. All of OVO. I love those guys. They make great music. It's a vibe. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. If am I wrong for crowning Lou Williams as the best six-man of all time? Do we have better six-man of the year award winners coming? Do you guys think Naz Reid can eclipse what Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford has done? Let me know.